The world had already been scarred by one catastrophic war. But in the 1930s, as Europe recovered from the ashes of World War I, a new storm was brewing. The seeds of conflict were sown in the aftermath of the Treaty of Versailles and in the rise of powerful expansionist ideologies. This is the story of how World War II began. World War I ended in 1918, but the peace that followed was far from stable. The Treaty of Versailles, signed in 1919, aimed to punish Germany, placing blame for the war squarely on its shoulders. It imposed harsh reparations and territorial losses that crippled the German economy. The treaty's terms were not only unpopular, but also deeply resented by many in Germany. This atmosphere of bitterness and humiliation paved the way for the rise of Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party. Hitler's promises to restore Germany to its former glory resonated with many Germans, especially after the devastation of the Great Depression. But Germany wasn't the only country experiencing political upheaval. Fascism, a far-right ideology that promoted nationalism, militarism, and authoritarian rule, was gaining ground in Italy under Benito Mussolini. Across the world, Japan was also expanding its empire, beginning with the invasion of Manchuria in 1931. These three countries, Germany, Italy, and Japan, would soon form a powerful alliance, each with its own ambitions for territorial expansion. Hitler's ambitions were clear from the start. In 1933, he became Chancellor of Germany, and within a few years he began to openly defy the restrictions placed on Germany by the Treaty of Versailles. In 1936, Hitler remilitarized the Rhineland, a key region that was supposed to remain demilitarized under the treaty. The League of Nations and France, too weak or unwilling to act, allowed Hitler to make these moves without significant opposition. By 1938, Hitler turned his attention to Austria and Czechoslovakia. First, Austria was annexed in the Anschluss of March 1938, and then in September, Hitler demanded the Sudetenland, a region of Czechoslovakia with a significant ethnic German population. In an attempt to avoid war, British Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain, along with French leaders, met with Hitler in Munich. They followed a policy of appeasement, agreeing to let Hitler have the Sudetenland in exchange for promises of no further aggression. But this policy of appeasement only emboldened Hitler. He had not been satisfied by the Sudetenland, and soon he turned to the rest of Czechoslovakia. In March 1939, Germany invaded the remainder of the country, and Europe could no longer ignore the threat. As Europe teetered on the brink of war, Hitler sought to secure his Eastern Front. In August 1939, Germany signed a non-aggression pact with the Soviet Union, the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. The agreement shocked the world, as the Nazis and the Soviets had been ideological enemies. But the pact allowed Hitler to invade Poland without fear of Soviet interference, and it secretly divided Eastern Europe into spheres of influence between the two powers. On September 1, 1939, Hitler's forces invaded Poland. The Blitzkrieg, lightning war strategy was unleashed, with rapid, coordinated attacks using tanks, aircraft, and infantry. Within weeks, Poland was overrun, and the Polish government was forced into exile. This was the final straw. On September 3, 1939, Britain and France declared war on Germany. World War II had officially begun. But the conflict didn't stop at Poland. Within months, the war spread across Europe and beyond, eventually engulfing the entire globe. Germany's allies, Italy and Japan, further expanded the scope of the war as Japan attacked China and later the United States. What started as a European struggle would soon become a fight for the future of humanity itself. World War II would last 6 years and claim tens of millions of lives. It would reshape the world map, redefine global power, and leave a legacy of destruction and rebuilding that would echo for decades. But it all began with the aggressive expansionism of Hitler and the failure of the international community to stop him. The world would never be the same. The fight for peace would continue long after the war was won.